willing to help back us. Because where we're from, we need that extra push for people to say, you know, you got it, you can do it. And that little push helps the kids a long way. It might not seem like it's a lot of people, but to the kids, it really counts when a kid hears you say you can do it. You know, it helps them want to push a little bit more. And this program is so amazing that I was praying that I did not cry. I started crying when I seen my son. That was my son on the video. On the King video. So it kind of already had me going, I'm going to get you out. So I appreciate you guys and everything that you do. I pray that other people see what you guys are doing and want to do it other places. When I tell people, I say my kids got it, when I see ISU and the Hawkeyes playing against each other, and people be like, Hawkeyes, I say ISU. They say, ISU, what do you mean? I said, well, they help my kids in college, are you guys? They say, oh, you know, a lot of you don't know about the program, but they know now. I let it be known. Yes. So I go with ISU all the way through because ISU is at the end of helping me. And I appreciate each and every one of you guys for making this possible in the community. His words can't explain how many parents would like to thank you, so I'm here to thank you for them. A lot of them probably wish they could be here, but can't. I didn't think I was going to make it here because I had my son and the weather. I'm scared to drive in weather like this. But I wanted to make it because I wanted to make it her day. And I appreciate you even calling me, let me know that you even remember me wanting to help you in any way I could.
I have told her story numerous times. I mean, it was just that day in the gold room when we were over there, and she's told the same story, and yeah.
Look, she don't want to cry, but she can't. Yes, and I appreciate you guys
so much.
This is an impromptu moment, but let me just say this because she won't. Here you go. This is an epitome of a mom, a super mom. She volunteers, she works 2 jobs, taking care of family. Whenever I needed her to volunteer, she volunteers. I don't know how she does it, but I'm excessively proud of her. She's an advocate for education. She is what Janelle said, the change in the 50314. And I would wish I had about 10 moms like her, helps in my food pantry. Let me just say this because she doesn't know, she'll get me later. But we were packing Christmas presents on the 23rd for our students at King that morning. And she came in the cold weather, along with my colleague in the back, Melissa, my right hand on a lot of things, and vice versa. I appreciate her as well. And we had a shooting in the neighborhood. It was a relative to her. While we were in the office, we received that news. There's so few of us packing presents. But she's so committed to the babies as well as our principal is. And so she wiped the tears. It was painful, it was family matter, and continued to wrap those presents to the very end until we handed off the last bag of presents to a family driving off in the parking lot at 4:15 that day. Look, I'm just going to tell you, she's a hero to me. She makes my job well worth it, and I go the extra mile for her whenever she needs it. But that's what it takes, is families come together that know what it's like. I didn't want to intervene, but would you guys stand and just give her a standing
Now I would like to introduce to you Ashwaag, Ahmed, who is a bilingual family liaison for the Des Moines Public School District. And she's got, well, I'll let her tell her story. Here, so here you go.
Hi everyone. My name is Ashwaag Ahmed. I'm a mother and I'm a bilingual family liaison with Des Moines Public School. I'm going to talk about mother before going to my job. So I have 4 kids, 2 girls, 2 boys, and I have all of them. They start Moulton. I have my oldest one, she's at Harding Middle School. She's 13, she's in 7th grade, and then I have fifth grader, Moulton. I have a 2nd grader, Moulton too, and I have that 4th one. He's coming next year, preschool at Moulton too. So I'm a neighbor, 50314. And I want to thank Janelle very much. I want to give her a hug. She was there. Oh my gosh. So, my kids, when they start Moulton Elementary School, Janelle, she had a seafoam there program, after school program. So I wasn't have anyone, I was going to school at that time, and I was having a hard time. I don't have anyone to take care of my kids. I was like, oh, seafoam, they have that program? They were like, yeah. But a lot of Muslims people, when they hear that, that's a church. I was like, yeah, I know it's a church. Everyone, they have their own religion. They can help you taking care of your kids while you're at war, or if you have something, an emergency happen to you, there's somewhere they can go. By the way, they teach them their reading, math, helping them, everything, if they have homework, but I don't think they have homework from school, but they practice there a lot. So I appreciate her help, and my oldest one, my husband, he graduated from ISU, he's accounting, so my oldest one, all the time she's asking her dad when she was in 4th grade, Dad, did you go to ISU? Before you have that program. He was like, yeah, I went there and graduated. How was that there? It was like, wow, I get hard time to get there. You know what? I pay by my own money to go to get my education there and graduated accounting. She was like, huh? I was like, yeah, okay, Daddy, one day I'm gonna go there. I wanna go there to study there. So and then I made sure I'm Moulton Elementary School, and she already met my oldest one too, and she knew her very well. So when we heard about ISU of a promise, my husband was like, you know what, I'm gonna go ask. And I think he came to you, he asked you, he get a lot of information, and he was like, you know what, we'll start with our oldest daughter. She's the train, so whenever she go, her other siblings, they will follow her. It's gonna be easier for us not to go the way that she went. I was like, okay. So when we hear about the ISU for promise, she came, my daughter, when she was 5th grade, was like, yay! I was like, what happened? Dad, you know, you pay for your own education, but for myself, I'm gonna get 80% tuition. So I'm so happy. It was like, I know, no, it's not that easy to get. You have to have a good education, you have to be success in the school, so you will get through there. But if you say that I'm gonna go because I have 80%, nope, it's not gonna be that easy. She was like, huh. My middle one, she was like, I'm gonna go, I have 100% tuition. So you have 80, but I have 100% tuition. I was like, she was like, yeah. So I have another one. So I'm so happy that we have the ISU for promise for our kids. And I was telling her, like, yesterday I was like, what are you doing, Mom? I was like, I'm gonna go because you know, I'm sure she invited me. I was like, can I go with you? I was like, no, you better go to the school. I think she already come for tour here at ISU. So thank you for this program. And the second, I work with Moulton Public School. This is my 2nd year. I'm a bilingual foundation Swahili interpreter. I'm helping the refugee people, the refugee family that they came from back home. By the way, I'm the only one from my family that I'm finishing my education. I have 3 more classes to graduate from DMAT to get my associate degree in early childhood education. So I was like, let me finish right now, and then later on, I'm going to go to ICU to be I'm going to be an ELL teacher. So I was like, oh, I think I have a family. So we have a family that they came from Africa a lot. They don't have education at all, even though they don't know alphabets at all. So our position is called bilingual family. We have 23 of us, Spanish, Kunama, Swahili, and Vietnam, and Korean, and Somali, Arabic. So we have 23 people. So we're helping the family we have a program that we did last year it's called Family Alliance, that we help the family because they don't know anything about the system at all, school systems. So when they hear, when we are calling them, hi, how are you? And I was like, do you know Swahili? I was like, yeah. Oh my goodness. We are thankful that Des Moines Public School, they have someone that speaks Swahili because we don't know how to communicate with them. We don't know what to do. We get a voicemail, we get a text message, but we don't know what is that about. And when we go to school, we don't know what to say. There is no help for us there. So whenever I go, I was like, oh, thank you, thank you. So we saw the family that they're in need for that. So we have that program, Family Alliance, to teach them how to go through the school system. We are teaching them how to use the computer. There's no one can use computer. How they can communicate with school. If they have any problem, who do they have to go to? Like the principals, you know, like a lot of that. So we have like 3 groups, like 2 years. We have a graduating for 26 families that they graduating from that program. So for right now, we are teaching them like a single language. Like we have Arabic, they have their own Arabic, so we have to talk in Arabic. They will understand what we are saying about that programs. They will appreciate after the program when they graduate. They said, "Could you do it again, please? Do you have anything that can help us?" So we're helping about that. And they didn't know about ISU for primary. So when I said Shari, I was like, you know what? If they stay here, Moulton or King, your kids, they will get a full tuition. But if they start here, they'll have a 20%. And you know, whatever they start here, Moulton or King, they will get that tuition. There is 3 families that they go to Moulton on Harding. They were like, no, since we get that thing for our kids, we're not going to move at all. We want them to finish until high school. From high school, maybe we're going to move. But that's a good, because they were like, we didn't get education at all. So why we're doing our best for our kids to learn, to get a better education so they can help us. You know, we're struggling to work. We're getting like boxes. You know, like back home, we're not like that, but here it's a hard life. So they're happy about that. And I have a lot of people who are like, yeah, good. So, yep, that's all. I thank Mr. Macaulay and Moulton staff, and also I have Harding staff. I love them very much. I'm Moulton Elementary. That's my school. So I'm an East feeder. I serve like 300 families, that refugee families, Swahili.
Thank you so much. And I have to say that, aren't they great? One more round of applause. Many of you may know, the bilingual family liaisons are key for me. They are so essential for me because it's one thing for me to come and talk with someone and have like I can't speak Swahili or Karen or all these kinds of things. But when I can connect to someone who already knows the community, there's that bridge of trust that can come immediately with the language and the culture, making say, yes, this is actually a thing. So I thank Des Moines Public Schools and the bilingual family liaisons and all they do to help facilitate that whole process. All right, we'll move on now to talk about the practicum experience at this
So
point.
Shari, I want you and Delana and Jackie to have as much time as possible, so I'll just save my comments.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Let me get to the thing there I would like. Okay, the practicum experience. If I can have Delana and Jackie come on up. One of the pieces of my job is to, one of my roles is to help attract some of the teachers who are in the LED programs to have their practical placements at King or Moulton for a different opportunity than a lot of them are accustomed to. And so we do this by, I go and I speak to the orientation where they're talking about different opportunities for practicum placements. And I let them know that if they do this program, as they're talking about earlier, like the white savior complex and all of that coming in, the first time I walked into an ed class here at Iowa State, you know the numbers, you know the statistics that like 65% of the teachers out there are white females, very white out there. And to walk in and actually see that, it's like, oh my gosh, it is, all white. And some of them are coming to Iowa State University, and that's their first time that they've ever really been in contact with people who are non-white, that are people of color. And so in this, we've discovered that there's a lot of preparation that needs to go into this to make that transition more successful for the practicum students themselves and for the classroom situations as well. So what we've done in the past, and everyone can talk about that a little bit, but is we've set up this way that we offer different supports for the teachers who are, for the future teachers that are coming in there. And it includes a video series of short 3 to 5 minute videos based on diversity pedagogy that they watch for each day that they have a practicum. They're in the classrooms for 8 days, twice a week for 4 weeks. And they're talking about culturally inclusive classrooms and linguistic diversity and a lot of these different things. We found that we needed something more. It was a good base to start with, but we needed a little bit more to it. And so we've added a discussion board, so they have reflection questions that they are asked ahead of time, that they observe in the classroom, and then they talk to the teachers about it as well. But then we've also added in the last year a self-reflection. Too many times we're learning about them, but we're not looking at our own lenses and our own perspectives and our own K-12 backgrounds that we're bringing into those situations. And so we're doing a lot to talk about implicit biasing and where they came from. To talk about white privilege in those situations. And so we're doing our best to help support that system so the transition is easier. And I wanted 2 people to come speak today. Jackie Kohler, experienced fifth grade teacher at Moulton, and Delana Vogel, who was a practicum student this past year. So if you would be I'm gonna go first for me.
Well, I wrote stuff, so I'm gonna read it. Well, last night and this morning, so I mean, I'm sure it's fantastic. Good morning. My name is Jackie Kohler. I teach 5th grade at Moulton Elementary in Des Moines. I've taught at Moulton for almost 15 years. Have a lot of familiar faces. Cynthia was my mentor when I went through Moulton. She was a 5th grade teacher, and I came in as a very young, very inexperienced, and had lots of culture shock at the beginning, and she, to this day, we're great friends and has helped me through a lot of those challenges. So shout out to Cindy in the back there. Also, the 2 amazing students that talked this morning, DJ was a student in my class, and then Summerlee was a 5th grader. Fortunately, she wasn't in my class, but we got to know each other pretty well. So I'm really proud of everything that they've accomplished, and I'm just excited to see where both of their futures go. And the rest of the kids that are here at Iowa State. I was asked to talk to you today, and I kind of started my trip down memory lane. For those of you who don't know me, I grew up in an incredible, small, rural, small family town in rural Iowa. The closest town to me wasn't even a legal town. And then the next town to me had a population of almost 300. I think we're at 301, actually, right now. So when I decided to go to college, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I always really liked school. I used to think that I loved it because school was a lot easier than working my butt off on the farm. However, it wasn't until much later in my life and through my education and meeting most of my colleagues and staff in Des Moines that I realized that it was much more than that, and my school was my safe place. It was a place where I felt welcome, it was a place where I felt loved, and it was a place where I could really only focus on myself and not everything that was going on. So needless to say, I was not prepared at all when I came, so once again, thank God for Cynthia. And my first year teaching was rough in many ways. However, I realized that almost immediately that my classroom needed to be that safe place. So a lot of us here today have talked about that trauma and that social-emotional learning, and that has to come first. So it needs to be a place where every student feels welcome, every student feels loved, a place where each student has a voice, a place where they can focus on themselves and not maybe what was or was not happening at home. And my personal education did not teach me the value of developing those relationships, nor the importance of putting the kids' needs first. Don't get me wrong, I had a great education, but it did very little to prepare me for what I would consider the real world. Today, because of our partnership with Iowa State University, I believe that we together, because we are what it takes, every one of us in this room, and many other people who couldn't make it today, are doing a much better job to prepare our future teachers. I've had the pleasure to work with Mrs. Vogel and many other practicum students throughout the past years. And every year I feel like I see a little bit more improvements. I see much more preparation for that urban educational setting. There's a stronger understanding of behavior management, not classroom management, behavior management. Colleges like to focus on classroom management. That's needed as well. But behavior management and that social emotional learning, just to name a few. Future teachers are coming in more prepared in how to develop those relationships with kids, how to handle those tough situations, and how to become more culturally responsive. So personally, my experiences with practicum students have been extremely positive and rewarding. Obviously, as an educator, I'm constantly learning and growing and always wanting to know more. So, and I believe that mentoring fosters that that relationship, and we have to learn and grow from each other. They have multiple opportunities then as practicum students to come in and try to kind of bridge that gap between academics and the challenges of that real world teaching. So having experience from Moulton and King Elementary gives them an exposure to the multitude of the diverse learners that we have in our schools and how to continuously meet all of their needs, not just some of their needs, all of their needs. So as Mrs. Vogel can testify, I make them jump right in. Good morning, here you go, here we go. We're working hard, so I want them to be a part of everything that happens in the room. I want them to do more than just sit back and observe. And all of my practicum students have certainly done that. In the past, years and years ago, before we had this partnership, it was a lot of sitting in the back, taking notes, observing. Now it's, I'm in here, I'm learning about the kids, I'm understanding what's happening. I want them to get the good and the not so good of the teaching because it takes both. And I believe that Iowa State does continue to refine their practices every year in order to continue preparing the students for this. I wish I had that in my education 15, 16, whatever years ago. So I do though continue that it's important for Iowa State and the School of Education for us to continue to grow and strengthen our future teachers, that we need to continue to be trauma informed. I know that's said a couple times today. Continue with that behavior management, that culturally responsive teaching, and that social emotional learning, to name a few. That trauma informed, I think, is something that we really need to continue diving much deeper into, not just as a school, but as a whole community. The practicum students placed at Moulton and King have had the opportunity, the tremendous opportunity for coming in and leading our dynamic and diverse settings of both of our schools. And that way they can understand or get that deeper urban life kind of experience. They have a chance to put what they've learned, put into place, and where they can make differences in children's strengths and not in their weaknesses. So not only have I had a great experience with my practicum students, but I've also had really great experiences with some volunteers from Iowa State, and Nathan Shaw, I don't think he's in here yet, but you'll hear from him later today. Mr. Nathan, as my kids like to call him, absolutely love and adore him. He started with my room last year. He is not a education major. He does like computer engineering or something along those lines of engineering. And he drives every single week, all the way to Moulton, no matter what, to stay for an hour with my kids, to math groups, recess, have conversations, and drive back every single week, no matter what. Last year, I had a pretty rough group of boys and just clung to him, and my whole class just clung to him. And so I just think getting as many positive role models in as possible, getting as many practicum students in as possible to kind of bridge that gap, to get into the real world and to get into the, like I said, the good and not so good, can only continue to create that positive change that we need in our schools and in our communities. So I'll let Ms. Vogel talk, and then I guess if you have questions, we'll be willing to answer those.
year in the elementary education program here at IOC. And this last fall, I had the opportunity to work as a practicum student in Mrs. Kohler's fifth grade classroom at Moulton Elementary. It was something that I had been thinking about for a long time. We actually hear quite a bit about the ISU for You Promise program throughout the educator prep program. And so it was always kind of in the back of my mind. I grew up in a small, suburban, almost rural school district. And so I really was looking at it as an opportunity to expose myself to something different, to see how things are done in maybe places that are different than how I grew up and see what I can learn and grow from with that. Then Shari Miller came and talked to us a little bit more about the program, and I found out that part of the program is the diversity training that's offered. And that was like a huge light bulb for me. It's not something that any other practicum experience at Iowa State offers to my knowledge, and it's something that I think we all need. And our schools are getting more and more, diverse, and I think the more information that we can have to really be able to meet the needs of all of our students, the better. And I don't think that can ever be anything but a great thing. So I jumped on the opportunity. I requested a placement at Moulton working through the ISU for You Promise, and I landed in Mrs. Kohler's classroom. And I'm so glad I did. It was such a great experience for me. I think, I can't speak for everyone, but I think for most pre-service teachers, there's a lot of nervousness and a lot of fear that we're going to get into the classroom in a practical experience and say something wrong or do something wrong or just no matter what, we have the best intentions, but intentions aren't always enough. And so I think knowing that there was something that was going to support me in preparing for my practical experience was really comforting for me. So during the first orientation session, I remember having quite a few questions for you. And really, that helped set my mind at ease and helped me prepare myself for what I was going into and making sure that I could really be the best resource for all of the students that I was about to meet. So those diversity videos were great. One, because going into a practicum can feel really overwhelming. And they really kind of gave me specific targets and sort of walked me through the process a little bit. So Shari talked a little bit about the different types of videos that there were. There are things like creating culturally safe classrooms, just the diversity itself, or the importance of building relationships and really getting to know each of our students as individuals. And every time I watched one, I was a little less afraid that I was going to miss something huge, and a little more confident that I could jump in and be an active part of the classroom. Thank God. Because she's right. From day one, I was able to jump right in and get involved with all of the students and get to know them. And it was such an amazing experience for me. Being a part of the fifth grade team at Moulton was fantastic because literally from the first day that I arrived, they invited me into their planning and prep meetings. And I got a sense of what it was really like to be a teacher on a team that really puts the well-being of their students first. That was huge for me. There's a lot of talk about the planning and the preparation that goes into the course, and I walked away with a ton of resources that I know I'll use in my own classroom one day, but more than that is really the sense of, oh yeah, this is why I'm here. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. This is why I want to be a teacher. And I think more than anything, my experience with you and with your students really reminded me of that, and really it meant a lot to me in terms of reminding me why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I appreciate that. I appreciate ISU for You for all of the support that you gave me and everyone else that was a part of this program. And I wish everyone had the opportunity to do something similar.
Thanks so much. I just have to say, I think I have the best job ever because I get to work with the most amazing people ever. Just to say that. We are going to take a break, and right before we do that, I'm going to tell you really quickly in like less than 1 minute about the College Partnership Program, which is something that came up through teacher liaison meetings a few years ago with my predecessor. They had said, the students in King and Holt need to know more about college and about what goes on at college and what can I study, what can I do at college. And so the College Partnership Program was created where each of the undergraduate colleges is matched with a grade level in the school. So College of Agriculture and Life Sciences is partnered with kindergarten, College of Engineering is partnered with the 5th grade, and then those undergraduate colleges are invited to engage in the classroom or on field trips if the classes come up here, as they have before, to expose the students or to share with the students things about that college, topics that are relevant to that college, but then also connect it to the curriculum. We're trying to do as much as we can to connect it to relevant things that are already happening in the classroom too, and make those connections that way to continue to nurture that college-going culture in the schools. And so this morning, that's what it is, we're going to have, you'll have an opportunity to experience some of those activities, engaging interactive activities that happen in room 3534, which is right out here and across the hallway back there. We've got about 7 different tables that you can visit back there and talk with the people, and it'll just be, I think you'll have a really good time. Along the way, you'll want to take a little piece of paper with you and put your name and your email on this, and then if you can kind of just check off, or if you could get signatures from people at those things, or let us know that you visited each one of the stations, and then bring these in and put it in the hat. We're going to have a raffle for our ISU Free Promise sweatshirts and hoodies. So, all right, let's meet back here at, we're going to shorten it just a little bit, how about between 10:30 and 10:35. All right? It's on your end.